And then Jesus said to him, "Follow me." Amen. So I was studying this passage here today, or this week, and kind of realized that if you go back to where Thomas was not present when the disciples experienced Jesus the first time on that Easter evening, and then Thomas wasn't there, and we got that whole deal about the doubting Thomas, and he said, "Unless I touch his hands and touch his side, I won't believe." And we talked about all of that and how easy it is to join in with Thomas and how blessed we are when we believe but do not see. That's kind of the conclusion of that little story. But then, remember what we talked about last week is that Jesus comes and Thomas does see him and Thomas does touch him, and there's this grace involved. And it's like Jesus is actually practicing and modeling for his disciples this grace and forgiveness that he's been talking about. Right? Remember, if you forgive the sins of others, they are forgiven. This whole gift of Jesus, and that he's dying for the sins of the world and all of that. He wants them to know that, and he's actually practicing it in his resurrected state. So he comes and appears to Thomas, and now in this occasion, in this scene, he takes Peter aside and asks a couple of important questions. Actually, one question. And we'll get to that in a second. But I wanted to ask you, what are some things that come to your mind when you think of the disciple, the apostle Peter? Let's just think about Peter for a second. What comes to mind?
The rock.
Okay, Peter's the rock. So Jesus gave him a pretty important call when he said, "On you, my church will be built." Okay, good. Didn't say that to any other disciples. Good. What else? Okay, the most recent one, Peter denied him 3 times. And Jesus predicted that, didn't he, in the upper room? Okay, what else? Peter.
He sliced off the centurion ear.
Okay, so in the Garden of Gethsemane, he's the first to draw the sword as they're wanting to arrest Jesus, and slices off the guy's ear that Jesus heals and says, those who live by the sword will die by the sword. But Peter was the first to draw that sword. What else did Peter do?
Did he want to build a tent? 3 tents?
Okay, so Peter was one of the 3 that were up on the Mount of Transfiguration. If you remember that, when Moses and Elijah and Abraham, I think it was, appeared to Jesus and they seemed to be having this conversation, Jesus took Peter and James and John up to the Mount of Transfiguration, leaving the rest behind. So Peter was one of those that got to witness this amazing event, this transfiguration. And I think he was the one that said, "Hey, let's build a tent so we can stick around here, because it's a lot better being up here with all this glory of God shining around than it is down in the valley." Okay? Yeah?
He and his brother Andrew were the first disciples.
Oh, okay. Well, I think John, I don't remember who the first was called, but Andrew brought Peter, I think, is the way that worked.
Walk on water.
But yeah, so he was one of the first disciples. Remember Jesus came to the disciples at night. They were out in the boat, and he was walking on water, and Peter says, "If it's you, call me out." And so Peter gets out of the boat and starts walking on water. None of the other disciples did that. I remember he started to sing too. Let's see. Those are all the things. Oh, I had one more. Peter is the one who, when Jesus was washing their feet in the Gospel of John back in chapter 13, Peter's the one that says, "Oh, not me. If you're going to wash my feet, wash the rest of me." And then Jesus rebukes Peter by saying, who remembers? "Get behind me, Satan." Peter's a pretty major character here in these gospel stories, in the gospel. And this event occurs, of course, after the resurrection, as I said. And maybe encompasses all this stuff about Peter's personality. The thing that comes to mind, Jesus asked the question 3 times, do you love me? And you know, it's pretty obvious 3 times, you know, he denied him 3 times. And so this restoration is taking place because of Jesus, or of Peter's denial. And, you know, that's understandable. But I think sometimes we miss the point of what's happening here. And the restoration is more than just, you know, forgiving Peter 3 times or something else. And as I was looking at this passage there, you know, this time around, there's 3 things that kind of jumped out at me. First of all is that Peter is being called by Jesus. There's not only a reinstatement, but there's a calling. Do you love me? Feed my lambs. Do you love me? Take care of my sheep. Do you love me? Feed my sheep. So the affirmation of Peter's love for Jesus resulted in a call of Jesus to take care of those around Peter. And the question that came to my mind is, who are the sheep Jesus is talking about? Who are the sheep? Who are the lambs he's supposed to be taking care of? He's supposed to be feeding and really giving them life, because that's what happens, isn't it? When you feed someone, you're giving them life. When you take care of someone, you're enabling them to live. So who are these sheep? And I thought of 2 parables that Jesus taught about sheep. One involved 100 sheep, right? And there was a problem, and what was the problem? One was lost. Did Jesus take care of the 99 sheep? He went to find the one that was lost. So when Jesus says, you know, take care of my sheep, maybe one of the things he's talking about is, yeah, you got 99 in the fold, but don't forget about that one that's out there lost. And, you know, we've got 10 of those folks moving into our neighborhood at least every month. And at least one of those 10 is lost. I can almost guarantee that. That might be a bold statement, but, you know, we got to take care of the lost. We got to remember that Jesus continually calls us to pay attention to the spiritual lives of other people. And if they don't know Him, those become opportunities for us to build relationships and share and take care of that spiritual life, introduce them to that spiritual life that will give them life. Okay? Take care of my sheep. So that was one thing that I thought of, and there's a whole lot of others that come to mind when Jesus talks about sheep, but I don't have time to get into all that today. But then I was thinking about the lamb thing. Feed my lambs. And why would Jesus talk about lambs and then about sheep? Because I don't think there's any other place that he talks about lambs. You know, it's all, the parables and stuff are about sheep. I don't know that lambs are particularly mentioned, but here, lambs are mentioned. And then I remembered what Jesus said about little ones, about children. Suffer, that's the King James Version. Let the children... Yeah, you are old school. I'm not old school. King James Version. The way I memorized it was, let the children come to me, for theirs is the kingdom of God, or the kingdom of heaven. Let the children come to me. You know, and this was when the disciples wanted to keep those children away. You know, don't bother Jesus with the children. He's too busy healing and casting out demons and doing all this stuff. But then Jesus himself says, let the lambs come to me. For to such belongs the children of God. And I have to believe that when Peter was hearing these words of Jesus, He was hearing the stories that Jesus told about the sheep and about the children and the priorities that those people were to Jesus. Consequently, the call on Peter's life, I think the call upon all of our lives to pay attention to the lost, to pay attention to the children, to pay attention to those who are outside the fold or the marginalized or whoever they might be, so that they can be cared for. That's the call. But then there's a cost. There's also a cost here. Because Jesus says, after Peter affirms, "Yes, Lord, I love you, and you know all things. You know that I love you." Then Jesus says, "Very truly, I tell you, when you were younger, you dressed yourself and went where you wanted, but when you are old, you will stretch out your hands and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go." Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God. So there's a technical term here in the original language, in the Greek, for stretch out your hands. That word, that phrase, is only used for one thing. And what do you suppose that one thing is? Crucifixion. When you stretch out your hands, you will go where you do not want to go. So Jesus is telling Peter that the result of his giving his life to Jesus, the cost is everything. The cost is everything. It's his life. And church history tradition says that Peter, he went to Rome and there was persecution that came and Peter was going to be crucified for his faith. He wouldn't deny Jesus, wouldn't deny the resurrection, which maybe gives us pause to think about the truth of the resurrection. People don't die for things they don't believe in. And Peter was willing to die, and he was going to be crucified, and he said, "I'm not worthy to be crucified in the same manner as my Lord, so do it upside down." So Peter was crucified upside down. I can't even imagine that. You see, there's a cost. There's a cost of discipleship. There's a cost of following Jesus and doing what Jesus said we need to do. And all of us pay part of that cost. I mean, we do, I've been telling you about my next door neighbor, and it's going to be costly for me to go to my neighbor. I haven't done it yet, so that's 2 weeks running now. I'm still working on it. I've got in my mind what I'm going to say, though, so I've got that clear. I also counseled with some more friends this last week, and they gave me some more ideas about how I can offer forgiveness and be forgiven myself. And so I'm working on that. What's that?
Maybe you should all go together.
Oh, no. Yeah, this is my deal. Yeah, that's my deal. But that's a cost. It's a cost. It's a cost for us to go to Hilltop. It's a small cost, maybe. But we got to take those things into consideration. It's not our life. Sure, none of us will be asked to give our life for Christ, probably. But we might give a relationship. We might give a monetary, there might be a monetary value, a costly monetary value for us to give to the church, that we deny ourselves something else, perhaps. There might be some other kind of cost, an emotional cost. I know some of you have prayed for your children and prayed for your grandchildren, and, I do that, and I'll tell you what, that can wear on you after a while when you don't see any results. There's an emotional, spiritual cost of praying and praying and praying and not seeing results. That's costly. And if we weren't believers, if we didn't follow Jesus, we wouldn't care. We'd go do our own thing. It's costly to take a stand. Getting back to the politics, there's all sorts of issues before us, whichever side you're on. And if you choose to take a stand, it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you some relationships. That's one of the things that grieves me the most about the division in our country right now. I just read something, one of my friends on Facebook, said Friday, I think it was, I can't even be with my family anymore because they're on that side of the political issues. Yeah. But sometimes, if we name Jesus and we are unashamed of our faith in Jesus, sometimes that cost is going to result in somebody saying, I don't want anything to do with you. At least Jesus is clear what we're getting into. Right? He calls us, and then he says there's a cost. And then, we have to count the cost. So thirdly, there's a commitment that needs to be made. Did you get that? 3 C's? Call, cost, commitment. Jesus says, follow me. He says it again to Peter. Follow me. Follow me. Taking all this into consideration. Feed my lambs, take care of my sheep, feed my sheep, count the cost. Now what? Are you ready to follow? Do you still want to do this? Do you still want to let me be your guide, be your vision, be your leader? Do you want me to be your Savior? Do you want me to be your teacher? Are you going to follow? And that's the question really for all of us, isn't it? Will I follow Jesus? He's called us. We know there's a cost. But will we say yes? It's always the question. Will we say yes? Jesus, I want to follow you. And Peter, of course, said yes, and he went, we got some of his writings. He was a leader in the church. He died the death for Christ. And we recognize that as living out what he said he would do. So, that leaves us with the question, right? Will I follow Jesus? We're having communion today. Again, all are welcome to the table. And it gives us another opportunity to say yes to Jesus. As we receive the bread, as we receive the cup, listen to Jesus say, follow me. And you can say, yes. Yes, Lord. I will follow. I've heard the call. I've counted the cost. I will follow. Amen. Let's pray together.